and we are on section 1.6, and this is called two-dimensional figures. Section 1.7 is called three-dimensional figures, but this is just a little bit easier. Basically, two-dimensional figures are things that are flat in a plane, all right? We've talked about what a plane is. By the way, didn't I give you the question, the first question on the quiz before when we reviewed for it? I told you exactly what it was going to be, didn't I? I didn't tell you the answer, but you should have gone in your notes, and I said it was probably the very first thing you wrote in your notes. Somebody, you have your notes out? Has anybody actually been keeping notes in here? Go to the very first thing that we did in this class and tell me what the very first thing we did in our notes was. We did undefined terms, and I listed them. No, put your hand down. I didn't ask. I'm asking rhetorically. I'm not asking you to say anything, okay? Because you can't handle that. So, the very first thing in your notes, I said undefined terms is point, line, and plane. And I told you the day before the quiz, question number 1 was list the 3 undefined terms. I had several people didn't write anything down. So that tells me that you didn't do any studying, you didn't do any preparation whatsoever. And that's on you, all right? There's nothing I can do. You can't blame me as a teacher. You can't blame anybody else. Look to yourself, look in the mirror, and say, he told me this was going to be on the quiz. I should have looked it up, okay? I personally don't even think that you, like if I just popped it on the quiz, if I just stuck it on the quiz, I didn't tell you about it, I kind of doubt that most of you probably would remember it, and I don't blame you. But I told you specifically that that was going to be on the quiz, all right? It was your responsibility to look it up, find it, and I even said it was the very first thing that we did. So, eventually, pretty soon, we're going to have a quiz on this stuff right here, section 1.6. And we're going to have a quiz on 1.5 too. We still have to have a quiz on 1.5. Did I even write that down on the, what do you call that? The lesson plan thing I gave you today? Did we put anything about a quiz? Review for quiz. Friday, it says review for a quiz. We're going to take that on Monday. All right, so that's going to be 1.5. So we're going to have a quiz on Monday over 1.5. Not on this stuff, but on 1.5, all right? We will eventually get to this, a quiz on this. Don't you worry about that. We'll probably have a quiz on this next week, okay? Might have even 2 quizzes next week. How about that, all right? So we definitely have one on Monday, and we'll probably have one towards the end of the week on section 1.6. So that means you should be taking notes, and you should be trying to remember this stuff so that you can do well on the quiz on Monday and whatever day this is. All right, let's do the first word right here. It's a word that I'm sure that you know. I'm positive 100% that you know the word. You've used the word before, but you may not know the exact definition, okay? And that is of a circle. So let's draw a circle. So if I go to this little tool right here, and actually, I don't want it. Let's see, which... Is that the one? Yeah, that's what I want. Okay, I don't want it filled in. I just want it like this. So this is a circle, and there's several things that we need to know about a circle. We're not going to get really heavy deep into the circle right now. Later on in the book, we do a lot more stuff with these shapes, okay, with circles and different things like that. Who keeps calling me? Okay, so... But here's a couple things you need to know about the circle. So if I actually click on this circle, you'll see that little dot right there? Okay, we do call that the center of the circle. Okay, so that's a name that we need to know. It's called the center. So if I ask you, what is the center of the circle? You would tell me something. Now, what do you think the center is? It's something that we have talked about before. It looks like a dot. So, Makai, what's a dot? Yeah, it's easy answer. It's a point, exactly. And how do we label a point? We label it with a capital letter, all right? So let's just call it A, all right? So it's a little skinny, but that's a capital A. Again, this would be a fair quiz question, okay? Name the circle, all right? And so if I give you a circle, I put a dot in the middle, which is the center. I put a capital letter next to it. If I asked you to name the circle, you would say circle A. Now, you're not just going to write the word circle, but there's a symbol for it. You know how we had a symbol for line with the arrows on the end? We had a line segment with no arrows. We had a symbol for ray with just one arrow on it. Remember all that stuff? Yeah. You had a quiz on it, didn't you? So this right here has a symbol, and we call it circle A. That's how we would say it, but we write it like this. We just write this little circle with a dot right in the middle. All right, that represents a circle. It makes sense, doesn't it? A circle with a center. All right, and we would just call it circle A. So that symbol right there, it means circle. It's a weird looking C, but you get the idea. There we go. All right, so this little symbol is the symbol for a circle. If I ask you to write down something, name this circle, you need to put the name of it, all right? You need to put the description of it, which is a circle, okay? The symbol, that's what I'm trying to think of. The symbol of this circle, you need to have it on there. Just like when I say, if I ask you for a line, if all you do is just say AB, I told you I was going to mark this wrong, didn't I? All right, so when I ask for a line, what has to be the symbol for this line? It's got to be, is it that? Is that a line? No, you got to put arrows on both ends, okay? So when I'm going to be picky on this. If I ask for a certain, like a ray or a line segment or something like that, you need to label it properly. Same thing with a circle. If I ask you to name a circle, you're going to have to label it properly, and that would be this little symbol right there. There's a bunch of other stuff about a circle. Here's one more thing about a circle. Let's do this in a different color. Let's do this in red. All right. So if I connect a line segment, all right, a line segment has a beginning and it has an end. Nadir, you getting all this? You getting it through osmosis? Do you know what osmosis is? Yes. Right? You just get up next to something and it just sinks in. Well, that's not this, okay? You can't just think it's going to sink in. You're going to have to write this stuff down, because when you write it down, the reason I ask you to write stuff down is because that's one more thing that helps your memory. If all you do is just sit there and just watch, that's only one way to get it in your brain. But if you listen, if you see, and you write down, you physically do something writing down, it's got a better chance of sticking in your brain. All right? That's why I want you to pay attention. That's why I want you to keep your eyes open and not sleep. Is that right, Bryce? Yeah? Okay, so that's why I asked you to do that kind of stuff, because I want you to learn it. Okay, I'm not just trying to be a pain-in-the-butt teacher by getting you to all be quiet, perfect little kids. All right? I want you to learn this stuff, and that's how you learn it. Okay, let's talk about this red line segment. And you've probably seen this before. You did this probably in middle school, didn't you? What is this that connects a center to a point on the circle out here? Makai, what is it? Oh, that's Makai. It's called the radius of the circle. That's right. I'll keep this in red. It's the radius of the circle. All right? So I'm going to put another letter out here. Just call that B, because that lies on the circle. All right? When I say on or in the circle, those are two different things. Everybody listen to this, okay? This is pretty important. This center right there is not on the circle. What would you say? It's what? It's in the circle, okay? So everything inside of here, right? Everybody got that? All that stuff, that's supposed to be shaded in, all right? All that stuff right there, that's in the circle. Point B is what? It's on the circle. Remember when I first put it up here, it was all shaded in white? I didn't want it like that because I wanted you to see the circle is just the outside part of it, okay? It's this part right here. That's the actual circle. But we got points in the circle, and we got points, what? Outside the circle. So a point inside the circle, give me a good, like a little fancier name than just saying inside the circle. We would say it interior. We would say it's in the interior of the circle. So if I put point D, that would be in the interior of the circle. Point C would be where? On the exterior of the circle, okay? So make sure you understand what those words mean. We've already used it once. It was on the quiz, right? You had interior and exterior. So make sure in, out, or exterior means out, okay? So the radius goes from the center anywhere on the circle. So what if I drew this? What if I drew from there to there? Tell me something, and that's A, we'll call this E, all right? Tell me something about the length of AB and the length of AE. Tell me, Kenzie. Slightly longer? Why is it slightly longer? Just because it looks like it? Because I didn't get it dead center right here? And you're right, I didn't get it dead center. It should have been. But don't look at that. I mean, it starts at the center, it goes on the circle. This starts at the center, it goes on the circle. Casey, tell me. They're equal to each other, okay? So this point from the center of the circle, I could go anywhere from the center. Again, I'm trying to go from the center, and I'm going right on the circle. Any line segment from the center of the circle to the circle itself, right? Meaning it's right there. It lies right on that white line right there, okay? Those are all the same. So if I said the length of AB, watch this. How do we write the length of AB? Do I write out the words the length of? No, how do I write the length of AB in geometry? Okay, Rosalind. I don't know. You asking me or telling me? You're asking me? No, neither one. Kenzie? You just write AB. This thing right here, when you have no line symbol over top of it, there's no arrows, no lines, no nothing, and it's just AB. Again, we've talked about this a lot. We said this means the length of, I think that was section 1.5. It means the length of line segment AB. So what if I said the length of line segment AB was 5, okay? And then here's the question. The question is AE equals, and I'll put a little question mark there. Or it might say find, right? It might say, that's probably what it'll, I mean, the book's not going to put a question mark. That's kind of a thing that I just do. But it'll say find AE. So what do you think, Jason? Yeah, why 5? Because what? It's the what? It's the same length because they're both radius, aren't they? All right? Here's something. Radius is singular. Do you know what the plural for radius is? Is it radiuses? Is radii, yeah. And you spell it kind of weird. You don't have too many letters in our language that have 2 I's next to each other, do you? But this is one of them. I can't even think of any others. Can you think of, what is it? Can you think of another word? Like, not a proper name, not like somebody's name, but like a word that has 2 I's next to each other. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. Anyway, but radii does. Radii. All right. So if it says find AE, look, you know AB is 5. Hey, don't lose me. Listen now. So if I told you that the length of AB was 5, then the length of AE is also going to be 5. Let's change this up just a little bit. What if I did this? What if I said, let me change colors. Let's go to yellow. What if I went from here and I go through the center again, all right? It's going through the center. So I go from one point on the circle through the center and I hit another point on the circle. I don't go all the way through it. I don't stop short. I go from on the circle to on the circle, but it goes through the center. Go ahead, John, tell me what that is. Okay, it would be 10, but what's the name of it? We have a name. It's not circumference. The diameter, very good, okay? All right, so Trevor got it. It's the diameter. So the yellow thing, since we're in color coding here, the yellow is the diameter, okay? Now tell me something about the diameter and the radius. How do they relate to each other? The diameter, go ahead, Casey. That's right. The diameter is exactly, it's double or 2 times the radius. You remember this, don't you, from middle school? Didn't they teach you circles in middle school and about radius and diameter?
The fine students only come to the office to get your color wash shirts. Sabine Hosa, Taylor Radel, Akira Linton Patrick, J.R. Montgomery, Caitlin Fusco, Ty Bellerin, Anthony Contessa, Timmy McKernan, Janae Simmons, Caden Fichetti, and Ben Fabian. Thank you.
All right. All right, let's talk about the diameter and the radius. So, John already gave this answer, but let's take a look at the yellow line. If I asked you what, I don't know, we'll just call it XY. If I asked you, find XY, and I told you that AB was 5, okay? I told you that. So you know that AB is 5, all right? So here's A, here's B. We know that's 5. If I asked you to find XY, again, what does XY mean? It means find the length of line segment XY, okay? Well, look at it. It goes from a point on the circle, goes through the center, hits another point on the circle. That means it's the diameter. That means it's double the what? It's double the length of the radius. I know the radius, right? Because they told me right here is 5. So what is this? It's 2 times 5, which is what? It's 10. Okay? And that's how you would find this stuff. That's the kind of stuff eventually they're going to ask you. All right? There's a lot more to circles. There's perimeter, there's area, there's all that good stuff. We're not going to hit that right now, though, okay? We're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that at another time later on in the year. This is just to get us kind of used to it. It's just a, I don't know what you call it, a precursor or just a introduction. That's probably the better word for it. It's just an introduction to circles. And I think that's pretty much all you need to know right there as far as circles are concerned. All right, let's go to something else that's not a circle. I'm going to write this word down right here. And it's called a polygon. You've probably heard of polygons before. What about that prefix, poly? Anybody know what poly means, Trevor? Okay, yeah, many. Okay, more, many. Yeah. It just means many of something, okay? The gon kind of comes from the word angle. I know the word isn't exactly. I know the word gon isn't exactly in here, but it comes from like the original Latin, and all that kind of stuff, okay? But poly means many, gon has to do with angles, so it means many angles. So if you had a figure that had many angles, then you could consider that to be a polygon. I don't know, if people up close can read that. What's that little tool right there called? I know, I said the people up close can. Polygon tool, that's right. It says a polygon tool. It's got a rectangle. I don't think this even shows up on the recording, but you guys should be able to see it. So watch, if I go to Polygon, guys, let's listen now. Oops, look at that thing. Is it? Now listen, this is considered. So this thing right here, it is a specific polygon. We're going to talk about that in just a couple minutes, okay? We'll talk about it in a couple minutes, okay? I just want to look at it real general, all right? Just very, very generally. If you look at a polygon is made up of line segments. Would you agree that this thing has a bunch of line segments on here? Yeah. Now, the line segments, they all have to meet at a certain point. Like this line segment and this line segment meet at this point. Like they don't overlap, right? This one doesn't keep going, or this one doesn't stop short. Okay, there's no gaps in it. Everybody with me on that? So that must be true about a polygon. So you got to have line segments. You can't have curves. Is a circle a polygon? No, because it's a what? Basically a big old curve, isn't it? All right, so there's no line segments on a circle. All right, but this would be considered a polygon because it does have line segments and they all meet each other. Okay, each line segment meets another line segment, I should say that. At its endpoint, that's another key thing to it, okay? So at this end, the endpoint of this segment meets at the endpoint of this segment, and so forth throughout the whole thing. If that's true, then it's a polygon, all right? With me? Again, you got interior, you got exterior, you have on, right? So a point right here would be on the polygon. A point right here would be what? Inside the polygon, and a point out here would be what? Outside or exterior to the polygon. That's right. Okay. So each of these line segments, we give a name, and we call each of these line segments a side. We'll just put side. Okay. Each one of these. So on this particular one, this isn't the only polygon you'll ever see. It's just a specific type of polygon. But how many sides does this particular polygon have? 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's got 6 sides. Okay. Now, where they come together. Remember the endpoints come together and they touch each other right here? They don't overlap. They don't stop a little short. They come right together and they hit right here. We give that point, remember this is a point, we give that a name as well. And we call that the vertex. We've already talked about vertex, haven't we? Remember about the angle, right? Where those two rays come together at the endpoints? That's the vertex. So this is an angle as well, isn't it? How many angles inside this polygon? 6 of them, right. So that means if there's 6 sides, there's what? If there's 6 sides, there's what?
Alex King.
6 angles, okay?
West.
We're gonna talk about that later on. That's gonna be important. Question.
Amir Meyer. Myrie. And Jalisa Davis. Thank you.
Now, you're on the right track, but we have specific names for it. We're going to do that really, really soon here, okay? By the time we get out of here today, we'll talk about that. Let me flip my page on my notes. Okay. Let's see what else I want to say about this. Oh, let's name it, all right? Let's name the polygon. So what do you think we're going to need? If I'm going to name this polygon specifically, what do you think I'm going to need on here? Okay? I need points, don't I? How many points do you think I need? I need 6 of them. Right, I need 6 of them. Let's just start real easy. Let's just go A, all right? And you could go in any order. It doesn't matter. So A, B, C, D, E, and F. Or you could put like a Q in there or something just to make it weird. All right? But we'll just make it easy like this. Now, here's how you would name it. Listen. Now, generally, you would just say, there's no like symbol for it, right? Like we have symbols for things. There is a couple symbols. Like we're going to do triangles pretty soon. We do have a symbol for triangle. And guess what it looks like? Triangle. Yeah, good guess. All right. That symbol right there means triangle. All right. But we don't have a symbol for every, like if something has 27 sides, we don't have a specific symbol for that. All right. So we just call it polygon. Now watch very carefully because this is how you name the polygon. I might ask you on a quiz or a test to name this polygon. I'll put it on there. I'll say, this is figure 1. Use figure 1 to answer these questions. My first question could be, name the polygon in figure 1. You can start at any letter. It doesn't have to be letter A. All right, you can start at any of these letters that you wanted to. Let's just make it super easy and let's just start at A just for the fun of it, okay? So let's start at A. Now, what you're going to do, I hope you're listening, because, see, I can see the future. Did you know that? Yeah. Because everybody with your head on the desk or your eyes up here, you're not going to have a clue how to do this stuff when you do your homework or you take the quiz. See, I can see the future because I've been doing this for 35 years. And I've seen kids with their head on... I thought I had the floor here. I'm talking. I've seen it for 35 years when the kids have their head in their book or on the desk or their eyes are up here at the ceiling or something like that. They are the ones that don't get it right on the quiz and the test. Am I right, Bryce? Would you agree to that? So here's what we do. To name this polygon, we start at any letter. It doesn't matter. You could have started at E. You could have started at C. This sure doesn't help. Oh, my word.
Would the following students please come to the office for your color work shirt? Gideon Samuel, Gavin Lindo.
Could they not do this some other time? I did.
Avery McGonigal, Kylie Schrader, Addie Farinacci, Grace Fleming, Alexander Messick, Alila Rankin, Juliana Witt, Amir Myers, Niger Coates, Malik Pinkett, Braden Redmond, Caleb Sutton, Ryan Reddick, Ella Marcus, Sierra Stone, Cam Hayden.
This makes riveting video for YouTube, doesn't it?
Florian Ramsey. Thank you.
All right. So what do you think? If I start at A, do you think I should call this like A, D, F, C, B, E? No. Here's what you have to do. You have to go either this way. Everybody listening? Okay. Wayne's not. You got to go either this way or what? Or the other way. Okay? It doesn't matter what letter you start at. Okay? I'm just starting at A just because. All right? But if you wanted to start at C, you could do that. But in order to name it, if I start at A, how are you going to name it? You could name it polygon what? A, where do you want to go? Let's go clockwise. All right, we'll go alphabetical order. A, B, C, D, E, F. No, we started F. Stop. So we could call it polygon A, B, C, D, E, F. Seems like a weird name for something, but that's what you call it. Okay, you would just call it that. Or I could do a whole bunch of ors, couldn't I? I could sit here the rest of the class period and just go, or I could call it this, or I could call it this. I could call it A, F, E, D, C, B if I wanted to. Or I could have started at E. If I wanted to start at E, it's too loud. I could start at E, and I could go E, D, C, B, A, F, or I could go what? E, F, A, B, C, D. Right? It doesn't matter what letter you start at, and it doesn't matter which direction you go, but you've got to go to the one that's next to the last one. You get it? So A and B are next to each other. I got to go either A, B and around or A, F and around. I can't do this. I can't go A, D. Everybody see that? And then like switch like this. I can't go in that order. I have to go either clockwise or counterclockwise. Doesn't matter which one you start at. All right, that's pretty important. And if you don't label it correctly, if I ask you, label, a polygon, or if I say draw it, I'll say draw a 6-sided polygon and label it, right? Or whatever. I don't even know what I would say on the quiz, but you got to make sure that you do it in the correct direction. Yes, Yes. If there's 27 sides, you put 27 letters, even though we don't have 27 letters in the alphabet, okay? Use a Greek letter. Stick a pi in there. That's a Greek letter of the alphabet, okay? I'm just being, I'm exaggerating a little bit, all right? So that's how we do that. All right, so let's talk about this again. I want you to notice something about this. I'll keep this picture up here so I don't have to draw another picture. Candace, turn around. Face John. Don't you dare. I didn't think you were. John Gabrielli, son of Dante Gabrielli, my former student. So I'm at... I'll timestamp it and send it to him, okay? All right. So look, all these sides right here, in this particular one with this program that I used, it made all the sides exactly the same. All right? So this side, let's change colors. I thought I was at a different color. So watch. This side is equal to this side. What are these little marks I'm putting here? What are they called? Tick marks, okay? If you see this, what's true about all those sides? They're all the same. Exactly. We have a name for that. We'll talk about that in a second. You also, if all the angles are equal, we have a name for that as well. Notice I put this little arc on there. So, Z, up here. Rose, I didn't bother you while you were sleeping, so pay attention to me while I'm up here talking, okay? So let's take a look. So if all the sides are equal, listen, if all the sides, write this down, if all the sides are equal, and we've talked about a little bit of this before, then we call it a what? We'll say it's an remember this? Equilateral. Didn't we do that? We didn't do that? Okay, it must have been another class. When all the sides are equal, we call it an equilateral polygon. All right? When all the, I should put this, I put an if. This is an if-then statement. If all the, I was going to put sides again. There we go. If all the angles are equal, then it's what, do you think? Right, we still use the E-Q-U-I, angular, very good. It's called equiangular polygon. One more thing. I'll raise it up. If all the sides are equal, I know my handwriting's sloppy, but I'm going to read it to you. If all the sides are equal, then it's an equilateral polygon. All right, so that's one of our words that we're trying to learn today. One of them. Okay? If all the angles are equal to each other, then we call it what? Equiangular polygon. Equilateral, equiangular. Now watch this. When both are equal, almost done. No, I dismiss you, not the bell. You used all my time, so I'm going to use your time. So watch. When both are equal, we call it, listen, a regular polygon. Write that down. Write it down. It's a regular polygon. That's just what we call it. When all the sides are equal to each other and all the angles are equal to each other, we call it a regular polygon. And that's it for today.